Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Mayor Eddie Melcher right here in the great city of Gary, Indiana. I'm truly excited about today. We have officially kicked off our Relight the City initiative, where we are fixing over 2,000 streetlights throughout the entire city of Gary. And I want to thank our city engineer, Mr. William Allen, for all of his hard work. He's been working on this for an entire year, our first year in office, and today, you see the work behind us is just getting started. So Will, tell us a little bit about this project.
Thank you, Mayor Eddie Melton. Excited to be here. It took a lot of effort to understand exactly what we had in the great city of Gary, all of our assets. And right now we're on Bird Street. So as you can see, we have an old high pressure sodium fixture that just got disconnected from one of our existing poles and replaced with a new LED fixture. This particular fixture is over 2 decades old. Like I said, it's high pressure sodium. So what we replaced it with was LED, more efficient, brighter, and it's gonna cost us less money in order to operate it and less maintenance, with all the LED fixtures.
And they'll last longer, right?
And they'll last longer.
That's right. So right now what you see us doing will take place in 2 phases. Phase 1, Broadway, 5th Avenue, 4th Avenue, Ridge Road, Grant Street, that's right?
Correct.
All right, phase 2, then we're going into the neighborhoods throughout the entire city. So we want to thank the Gary Common Council for supporting this initiative. We want to thank the Biden administration for supporting this initiative through the American Rescue Plan. $3.4 million invested in the city of Gary in our infrastructure right now. Stay tuned, we'll be back.
Good evening. The January 22nd, 2025 Redevelopment Commission meeting is now called to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Clemens. Here. Commissioner Stalling.
Present.
Commissioner Washington.
Present.
Commissioner Dunham.
Present.
School Board Representative Johnson.
Present.
And President Rogie.
I'm here. Okay, next is election of officers, and I step down.
Okay, thank you, Rogie, Commissioner Rogie, for turning the meeting over to me. We are now going to have an election of officers for the year of 2025. Nominations are now open for the role of President of the Commission for the year of 2025. Can I get a nomination for President?
I nominate King Stallings.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Commissioner Clemens.
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
And Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Sorry, it turned off on me. Next, can I have a nomination for the role of Vice President? Keep in mind, under the redevelopment statute, we can't have the same appointing authority as the President and Vice President. So we need someone from the council pick to be the Vice President. Can we get a nomination for President? Vice President.
Nominate Mr. Clemens.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yeah. Whoop, yeah.
Commissioner Clemens. Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
And Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. Next, can I get a nomination for secretary? This can be anyone. So anyone, nominations for secretary are open.
Nominate Gleneva Dunham.
All right, first and second, can we go to roll call?
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens. Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington. And Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, commission officers elected for the year of 2025 are as follows. Commissioner Stalling will be president, Commissioner Clemens will be vice president, and Commissioner Dunham will be secretary. I relinquish my position as administrator, and I'm turning over the meeting to Commission President Ken Stalling.
Good afternoon to everyone that's here. I'd like to first thank my commissioners for having enough faith in me to be the president for the upcoming year. I look forward to this year working with everybody on the commission. Now we will move on to direct and commission.
Actually, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but we left off on the agenda, the acceptance of the agenda. So I would also like to make a motion. We're going to amend the agenda to include 2 additional resolutions. That will be Resolution 7534 and 7535. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda with the amendment of the 2 resolutions I mentioned for this meeting?
So move.
All right, can I get a second? All right, and roll call, please.
Commissioner Clemens. Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Apologies. The motion passes.
All right, thank you. Now we can go as proceeded. Sorry, thank you. Can we get a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting of December 18th, 2024? I don't know if you should make the motion. You weren't here.
So move.
And can we get a second? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rogie.
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens. Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Washington.
Yes.
And Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Is there anything else, Attorney Jenkins?
No, you should be able to proceed with the regular agenda as is already before you.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from the meeting held on December the 18th, 2024.
I think we just voted.
We vote on that one? Okay. Okay. We had number 7, the 2025 Redevelopment Commission. Okay. Okay, we'll move back up on the agenda to item number 5, the director and commissioner comments, with A, staff updates being a resume of Corey Sharp and attorney Shalice Tobert. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. So first off, I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, if I could still say that. But definitely excited to move forward in leading the Department of Redevelopment for 2025. Also want to welcome our newest commission member, Gleneva Dunham. So I want to congratulate her on being appointed to the commission and recently being sworn in. So thank you. Glad to have you on the board.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next, I want to be able to give a general overview of where we are as a department and how we're moving forward in 2025. So as many of us know, we have a lot of opportunity here in the city when it comes to our demolition efforts, when it comes to our development efforts here in the city. The capacity needed in effort to be able to move forward in an efficient manner is greatly needed. Last year, we had the opportunity as a administration to really understand the inner workings of our, not only our department, but how we work amongst other departments here in the city to streamline development efforts. So I wanted to be able to give an overview regarding Corey Sharp with Innovative Planning LLC, who's been providing support for planning and zoning to streamline our efforts, whether it be from business licenses, whether it be from asking and supporting and answering questions with zoning letters and zoning reports, and also helping support leading our efforts with getting planning items addressed that were notified or identified in our Notre Dame School of Architecture report for the city of Gary to make sure that we're being efficient with our land use. So it's a good opportunity to be able to grow capacity here in the city and be able to streamline our efforts. I will allow Ms. Sharp to be able to explain a general background of where she came from, her experience, but the administration definitely sees value in her support when it comes to being a special development advisor for our team. So along with this, I also want to address Attorney Tolbert. We're in the process of refining what that scope looks like between the commission, our administration. So I've asked Attorney Tolbert to hang tight. I know that she was with us for the past few meetings, just observing our commission. Our attorney, Stephen Jenkins, will be supporting staff in the department as usual, but we'll be able to have commission support potentially through Attorney Tolbert. So I just want to make sure that I give an update of where we were last year, because I know that Attorney Tolbert was sitting on a few meetings. We're just refining what that scope looks like between our parties, the department, the commission, and our administration. And without further ado, I want to allow Ms. Sharp the opportunity to help give orientation not only for our members of the commission, but also for the public about what redevelopment commissions do, what members are responsible for. Because I know that we have some new members, and I also know that last year, I think we were all kind of moving guns a-blazing when it comes to development opportunities and really getting into this role. So in 2025, we want to be able to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in their role and that the public has an opportunity to understand what redevelopment commissions do and what their powers and authorities are. I think for so long in our city, our department has been a gray space. We are responsible for a lot when it comes to our TIF districts, when it comes to executing the vision of the mayor of redeveloping our city. I'm excited for the public to be able to understand the powers that exist in Indiana for redevelopment commissions. So I don't know if we're ready. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask our IT team to, there's no, that's not on the agenda.
So
That's so.
we're sorry, we're gonna handle that, but it
Mrs.
is
Lynn, could you just let them explain before, because we want to continue with the meeting. Thank you.
right. As I said, I didn't know it was taken off, but it is currently listed in our policies and procedures to do that. So we think we should keep it there. If people want to make a comment, it's still, until such time as our policies and procedures do become amended, it's in there that public gets a comment. So I don't think we should just take it off arbitrarily. I think we have to let people speak on, let them get their 3 minutes for anything they want to say on agenda items only.
Mr. Chair? Yeah. What I do know is that yeah, okay. What I was saying to the public is that public comments, whether it be school board, whether it be council, whether it be a commission, those are not mandated by state law. Those comments that are awarded to the public are a privilege given by those boards. And I agree that we need to keep, Attorney Jenkins, I agree that we need to keep public comments as a part of our meeting so people can express their feelings, because, Mr. Chairman, it is the public comments that we adhere to, and we listen to what they have to say, because a lot of times they have information that we don't have, and then being vocal about certain positions, I think it helps the commission.
So do we, Attorney Jenkins, do we need a motion to redo the agenda to add this? Or do we just want to go ahead and incorporate and say now is the time for public comments? If anyone has any public comments, 2 minutes or less, they can go. What procedure would we follow?
Right. So, again, just like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So for the time being, we are not going to. All right. So here, when it comes to the policies and procedures, I think that there's some items that we need to review in general, which is a part of why we want legal counsel to give us advisement on how we move forward with order of business based on what state statutes are and what we have in our policies and procedures that might go above and beyond state statute. So I would leave it to the commission if the commission desires to honor having a public comment until we have that addressed. If that was the sentiment, I'll leave that up to the commission.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Mr. President, I just say as a new member and my background as a union leader, I think people should be informed if something's going to change. And so that's just my comment. If people have been having public comments, then people should continue until this board meets to decide that that's not the case. So that's where I am on that. Thank you.
Mr. Clemens? Okay.
Chairman, also.
What's the pleasure of the board? Do we want to?
Yeah, keep my,
Okay.
second.
It's been moving properly second. All right, any questions or comments, Mr. Gleneagle?
So my question is, when do the public comments come? Do they come early on or after the business? When do we do public
Yes.
comments?
So typically that happens before we start business.
Okay.
We allow the public, if they have any comments on agenda items only, they're permitted, I believe, 2 minutes to speak. And then from there, then we move on to business.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
7527, we can, we're on number 5, directors. So we can incorporate that right after 5? We did already 6, so we can, has anyone signed up to speak today on agenda items only? Has anyone signed up to speak?
Here, there's no sheet. So if there's anyone that desires to
Are we
speak
going
on agenda
to
items
have a
only.
roll call vote on this or not?
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Rogie,
Yes, by far, yes.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling,
Yes.
Commissioner Washington,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Also, I'm not quite sure where we were within number 5. I don't know if we made a clean break or where we were.
Yeah, we did not make a clean break. We were going to go into RDC 101.
Okay, so after RDC 101, I think that would be the best time to allow the public comment.
According to the agenda that you all have, we will do public comments right after we discuss 5B RDC 101. Mr. Harris?
Awesome. Thank you, President Stalling. So we're going to move forward again with item 5B, which is Redevelopment Commission 101, led by Ms. Sharp. And I'm going to ask the IT team, if you have the presentation handy that you can not only share on the monitor, but also share on the live stream. And then we'll have Ms. Sharp start. And if you could do us a favor, whenever we're ready to advance to the next slide, if you could help us do so.
Mr. Harris, excuse me.
Sure. Yeah.
You actually had
Commissioner
left
Vaca.
off. She was gonna kind of go over her background.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll let Ms. Sharp go over her background, and then we'll head into RDC 101. Okay.
Oh, before that, can you kind of introduce us, and is she currently working for the city? Because I see there's a resolution.
Yep. So
So give us who is she working for the city?
sure. Okay.
What is she doing?
Got it. So here, forgive me if I wasn't clear earlier. So Ms. Sharp is supporting us in planning and zoning. She currently works as a consultant for the city. And with that, the opportunity to really streamline our departments is what's really needed. So currently, she's been able to really tackle on those tasks and efforts in planning and zoning. And this is what we have before us. And later on in the agenda is the opportunity to help support myself with bandwidth and redevelopment and helping streamline all efforts between planning, zoning, and redevelopment as a advisory consultant. And a special development advisor to the mayor. So I'll have an opportunity for Ms. Sharp to be able to explain a little bit more about her background, where she comes from, and then we'll be able to dive into RDC 101. All right, Ms. Sharp. Okay.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to speak. My name's Corey Sharp. By trade, I am a certified urban planner and a licensed landscape architect. For 11 years, I've had my own company called Innovative Planning, and I have been working with redevelopment commissions, cities and towns, plan commissions, councils to facilitate transformative change and implement plans when it comes to planning and place-based projects and development projects. I included my resume in the portfolio. I started my career focusing on the design side of things, civil engineering and landscape architecture work, doing campus master planning, and shifted my role into more strategic thinking and place-based. So my time over the last 11 years has been, well, really, since I started my career, I'm a graduate of Ball State. I lived in central Indiana. I recently moved here and have had the pleasure since October working with the Plan Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. At my time in central Indiana, I worked with the city of Carmel, Mayor Brainerd, leading his redevelopment commission. I was there for 4 years. We implemented a lot of downtown projects, a lot of placemaking projects, very similar to the vision that Mayor Melton has put in place for the downtown area here, the TDD. Also worked with the City of Indianapolis and community development corporations, working on affordable housing, on their home and CDBG projects, doing grant writing, writing ready grants for additional suburban communities in the Indianapolis area. I approached the city, Mayor Melton, about having the opportunity to work because for the last 3 years I had been commuting back and forth to the Indianapolis area. I have a 15-year-old son and a 20-year-old son, but the 15-year-old is with me. And at one point last summer, I had a moment where I had spent 10 days consecutive with him over a period of 2 years, and I thought it's time for a change. So I reached out to the city, and at the time they had an immediate need with their planning and zoning, and throughout my time here, I've come to appreciate all of the work that the Redevelopment Commission has had, and I think that my talent and expertise in redevelopment can add capacity to Chris's leadership, and then also help advise the mayor on how to approach next steps in implementing the ideas that have been presented over the last year or so. I'm happy to take questions about my background. I respect everybody's time, but I do want to dive into the RDC 101. If that's okay, I'll transition into that. Mr. President?
Are there any questions from any trustees? or board members? I have one question for
Yes,
you.
sir.
The work that you did in Carmel, how can you give us about 2 or 3 minutes of what you did in Carmel
Yep.
that you could possibly help us with?
Yeah, my focus was a 2-mile radius in downtown Carmel. I was there 4 years, and during that 4 years, we structured a $500 million worth of public-private partnerships. It was mixed-use development, apartments, offices, TIF projects. Also worked with their Community Development Corporation on instituting grants and things like that. Also, they had a trail running through their downtown. We transformed that into an urban trail that had plazas, parks, event space, a community gathering that really brought people out and into the downtown to increase the spending in the downtown. And then also worked closely with the mayor on implementing the Chris Kindle Market in that community that really sparked lots of economic development activity during the cold winter months. But by and large, the bulk of my time was spent structuring public-private partnerships with private developers and then working with the legal and financial team to structure the financing and the legal partnership with those private entities. And then that transitioned into the construction and monitoring the quality of their construction with our requirements that were in the city of Carmel.
My last quick question is, do you have a team, or is your company just you as an entrepreneur?
I have an administrative assistant, but otherwise it's just me. I've had sub-consultants that come on underneath me on a project-by-project basis. I renovated an event center, and I brought on an interior designer for that. But by and large, it's a one-man show.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a
Yes.
question. So just, you mentioned grant writing.
Yes.
So are you bringing that skill to the city?
Absolutely.
With this job you're trying to get?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank
We're always looking for money.
There you go.
Thank you. So you will work with our executive director hand in hand, or is this you're very qualified, in what we've seen. So he's the executive director, and you'll be helping him do his duties as our executive director, or is it, what will this contract, what powers would this contract give you?
The contract that you have in your packet.
Well, let me add to that before that. We're not, as far as your question, the contract, you're already a contractor. So what, I guess this question, in your current capacity being paid by the city, what are you charged to do?
So I have a contract with the city of Gary. The contract in front of you is in front of the Redevelopment Commission, so two different funding sources. My contract with the city is to lead the planning and zoning department, to bring some efficiency to the system, to allow us to be more productive in getting petitions through the process of planning and zoning, working with the legal team and the support team here within the city, and they're all very talented. Separately, this proposal is for a focused on redevelopment. So it really does focus in on structuring those public-private partnerships, at doing a lot of advising on priorities and focusing so that we can get projects across the finish line. What I have learned over the last month or so, just observing the redevelopment team, is that there's a lot of assignments that have been handed over, and just adding that extra capacity to get projects over the hurdle, but also bringing that expertise to be able to negotiate with developers and implement projects.
So with your contract with the city, are you assisting or supervising workers?
I do not supervise workers. They are a team that work with me, but they have their supervisors separately.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, for example, there's only one person. So Nate Walton is working with planning and zoning, and she will eventually bridge into redevelopment. She currently has a direct report to Mr. Hawkins, the building commissioner. And if she ends up working with redevelopment, her direct report would be Mr. Harris.
Yeah, I guess some of the questions we have to take with administration, because one of the things I want to see is I want to see a planning director over planning.
Yep.
And so.
And I do serve in that role, but I do not have staff that reports to me.
So you serving as the planning director.
I am responsible for implementing the planning department. I don't know that the title is exactly director, but because that is a staff position.
And you won't be supervising Mr. Harris, you'll just be assisting him.
Yes, coming alongside. One of my core values in working is servant leadership. So that is walking alongside all of you to help you be a leader in the community and implement, really being the behind the scenes.
Help us be leaders in our community.
No, sir, it's implement. Yeah, you're an excellent leader. I understand.
When you said that, I was like,
It's the philosophy around servant leadership is that you as leaders surround yourselves with a team to help you implement, and I am coming alongside you to help you implement. Sorry.
All right, Chris, we ready to move forward? Any other comments from any other board members? Public comments? I
have a whole presentation left for
Okay.
you. All right. I have a presentation here that is the City of Gary RDC 101. I want to take proper time to go through this just to provide a strong foundation for the work that we'll be doing over this next year. So the Redevelopment Commission is a separate taxing unit from, it's not the City of Gary, it's not the Library Board, it's not the School Board. All of those entities collect taxes. The RDC is an organization that is instituted by the state and not by the City of Gary. So we operate underneath the state statute, and I've put it here on your second page here. If you could change the slide, please, that'd be great. We have two primary purposes. And the first one is focused around planning. It's clearing, replanning, redevelopment of areas needing redevelopment, and establishing the purposes for which public money may be spent and private property may be acquired. It's developing that plan and having a clear path forward to implement that plan, which is item number 2, development. Afford the maximum opportunity for rehabilitation or redevelopment of areas by private enterprises. This is the state statute clause that allows us to enter into public-private partnerships. Next slide, please. As a redevelopment commission, you have specific powers in your authority. You have the capability to acquire and dispose of property. They have criteria around being able to purchase that. I know that Mr. Harris has done an excellent job of doing that over the last year or so. The process is a site is identified within the planned area and 2 appraisals are required. You then average those 2 appraisals and you offer to purchase or you offer to sell based on the average of those 2 appraisals. You then can go through the process of acquiring or disposing of that property. You have the capability for capital improvements In fact, you might see some abbreviations come through over the years that says CIP. That's Capital Improvement Plan. That's the plan to repair, maintain, build property or improvements on property. We have the capability to contract for public capital improvements and consultants. So you can contract with a legal team, a financial team, with an advisor, and you have the capability of contracting for like the demolition contracts to implement those public improvements and remove blight. This is a key thing that differentiates you from other boards, is that you have the capability to issue bonds, enter into leases and or loans with city council approval. There is a process, and I'll touch on that in a little bit, on how we go through issuing bonds. And then you have the opportunity to accept and issue grants. So you can seek grants, and if you have a grant fund, you have the opportunity to issue grants out. The next section that I want to cover is public meetings. If you could change the slide, actually 2 slides please, to the open meeting. We've had a little discussion about this already today, and I apologize for storming into your executive meeting. I did not realize that there was an actual executive meeting earlier. I do apologize for that. So an open meeting is one that is open to the public. An executive session is a closed-door meeting where you can attend to items associated with land acquisition and disposal. So open meetings are when we have the majority of the board, as of like today, and you hold that meeting to issue items of business, your agenda. As Commissioner Washington mentioned earlier, public comment is certainly the privy of the board to offer that. It is a privilege, but by state statute in the open door meeting, it is not required. We do need to make sure that it's accessible. We have the meeting recorded, and Gary has the great pleasure to have this live streamed as well. So there's a couple other items here I'll skip over, but who can attend and record meetings? Obviously the citizens, and I've already mentioned when it can be closed. The next slide is section is land purchase and sale. This section, I just wanted to touch on it just a little bit more because we are actively working on a blight elimination plan so that we can either acquire properties that need to be demolished, or we can sell properties or give away properties like the My Gary, My Lot program. So there are methods and programs that you already have in place for this land purchase and sale, which has been your primary focus thus far and probably will be your priority going forward. The next section is public-private partnerships. Okay, thank you. Yeah, there was no text for the other one. It was just a flag for me to talk about land sale. So public-private partnerships, if you could change it one more slide, that'd be great, thank you. Public-private partnerships, P3s, they are often called. This is when a public entity like a redevelopment commission partners with a private partner to implement something that's of great importance to economic development or redevelopment initiatives. So when we negotiate public-private partnerships, sometimes it can be structured solely on volunteer, like the Reith Riley program. That's a public-private partnership. But sometimes we have the opportunity to use a method called TIF. And TIF is tax increment financing. Next month, I'm gonna do a deep dive on this for you on what is TIF and how does it work. But as an introduction, TIF is called tax increment financing, and it's in short, when you buy a piece of property, it has a base assessed value. When you make an improvement on that property, it has an increased assessed value. That base collects taxes based on its original value, and the future collects taxes on the future value. Increment, the tax increment, is what we collect to go towards a specific project. So if a project baseline is the blue, that continues to remain over the period of a TIF bond, which is the limit is 25 years in the state of Indiana. The green on this slide is the incremental value that can go towards debt obligation to pay for public infrastructure associated with that project. After the project is complete and the bonds are paid off, 25 years is extended, or whatever the term is, less than, all of that value, the orange, returns to all different taxing units. So during a period of time, TIF is collected to go towards those public infrastructure associated with that project only. And then afterwards, it gets distributed amongst all of them. And I'll go into further detail around that. But to just give you a glimpse of how it's established, if you could swap the slide, that'd be great. The process is not isolated. There are actually other commissions and agencies that require the approval of a TIF to be established. TIFs are a part of an economic development area, an EDA. You currently have 12 EDAs. Oh, could you change the slide, please? Steve, could you pop over there and ask Ronald to come? Thank you. So an economic development area is a geographic area that is created when we negotiate the public-private partnership. You have 12 EDAs in the city, and those EDAs capture TIF for a period of time. And we'll introduce a budget later where we can talk about that a little bit. In order to establish this, it has to go before the Redevelopment Commission, then it goes to the Plan Commission, then it goes to City Council, and then it comes back to the Redevelopment Commission. So there's checks and balances all along the way to make sure that we're building a cohesive and collective approval to establishing an economic development area. If you could switch the slide, please. As I mentioned, there are different terms to allocation areas. In 2008, the law changed where the maximum term of a TIF is 25 years today. If TIFs were established prior to 2008, they have different term lives. Actually, you have a TIF area that is expiring this year. So it has reached its end of life, and it will expire. If you could change the slide, please. TIF, at a high level, can be used for capital projects that has an economic development purpose, it's in the plan, and that it's benefiting economic development or the redevelopment area. It can fund economic development incentives for new development. It can fund educational and work training, and then redevelopment construction of blighted areas, as I've mentioned before. When we create a TIF, we create the opportunity to collect taxes for a period of time. During that time, an agency or the private party would issue a bond, kind of like a mortgage around that. So if you could change the slide, Pat, to bonds, and then to the next slide, what are bonds and why issue them? In your budget, you have several EDAs that have bonds associated. A bond is a debt mechanism. It is like a mortgage. You have a piece of property, you know the future value, you're going to grow equity in that, and so you take a loan out against that guaranteed growth of income over the 25 years. So it is a loan mechanism by a government entity. One of the trends today is that the government agencies like to lean on our private partners to actually take out that debt mechanism so that it doesn't go against your debt capacity here within the city. So the bonds are issued and sold to the investing parties, and again, they provide the funding for public infrastructure. So even if a developer were to, we approve them to issue a bond, their spending needs to go towards public infrastructure, like road improvements or sidewalk improvements, things like that. As I mentioned, there's multiple different types of bonds, and I'm going to touch on that on the next slide, types of bonds. There are tax increment revenue bonds. This is a bond that's issued by the government. It is tax exempt, or it can be taxable, just depending on the interest rate that you're trying to seek to make the project work. When we enter into public-private partnerships, oftentimes there's a gap, which is why we even contemplate these bonds. So the developer might say, here are all of my expenses associated with this project. I can come up with $10 million, and the project costs $12 million. So there's a $2 million gap. You would issue that bond to cover that $2 million gap to make that happen. And that $2 million needs to be spent on the public infrastructure associated with that project. There are economic development revenue bonds. There are special taxing district bonds. They're called SBTs in the industry. And this is a bond where not just the TIF area is responsible for collecting the income, but the entire jurisdiction is responsible for coming up for the income to pay back this bond. These would be very, very large bonds. And then there's lease bonds. And this is the most common, where we have lease payments and it does not work against your statutory debt limit. So the RDC in action slide, this is and then this following slide is the Gary Economic Development Areas. Ronald, would you mind changing the slide, please? There you go, that's the slide, correct. Thank you. This map specifically is found on the Lake County GIS website. If you haven't accessed that website, it's a great location for information on these TIF districts as shown on this map, along with property ownership, tax rolls, who owns property, things like that. Specifically, change slide please, your 12 EDA areas are noted here on this slide. Could you change the slide, please?
Gentlemen, please change the slide.
All right, perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay, these are the 12 areas. You will contemplate a budget, over the next 60 days or so. The budget is broken down based on these EDAs because, as you can see, there are obligations associated with several of them. The top are where bonds have been issued and that the TIF is generating income to pay back that bond. I've noted the final payment of those bonds, the purpose of the TIF area, and then what that original bond was for. The bottom TIF areas do not have any debt against them. So they are collecting tax revenue that can go towards public infrastructure projects once we build out a plan. Would you change the slide, please? This will be the last slide. I know I've introduced a lot. Our hope is we wanted to introduce this in a presentation. I do have a written packet for you, so I'll provide a written handout for you or a binder that has this information for your reference in the future. Going forward, the RDC does have some targets that we want to hit, so I've included a calendar here. So this month we're hitting RDC 101. Next month will be TIF 101, where we dive into the finances and the specific obligations for each of your districts. Then each April 1st, we need to report to, it's actually April 15th, a report to the state of our fiscal responsibilities. And so we will review that in March, and then we'll be able to submit it in April. I like to work towards a 5-year budget. So in April, we'll look at a 5-year outlook from spending standpoint, because these projects take a long time. Mr. Harris and his team have done a lot of due diligence teeing up projects, and now we'll tip things over and start implementing. A lot of times it's 18-month construction, 12 months design, and 12 months of approvals. So when we look at our financing, we really need to have a long-term outlook on it rather than just a year in, year out. So we'll take a look at that in April. Then in May, well, in June, by June 15th, we have to notify other taxing units of what we're going to be doing with the TIF that is generated this year. So we'll review that in May. Then in September, we'll review a 2026 budget for the Redevelopment Commission. You have one here in front of you for 2025. The commission is separate from the redevelopment department that has already been approved by the city council. So all of the staff, that is in your redevelopment department, because TIF cannot pay for operations. That is something that the cities approve in the city council. So this is a budget that you need to approve, and it's for the funds that you manage. Okay, so that'll be in September. We'll work towards approving that in October, but really we have until December 1st. So if it takes a little bit longer, we'll take a little bit longer. Then in November, we'll send to the state a 2026 spending plan. That's a new requirement. Mr. Harris submitted the spending plan in 25. And then we will be presenting a budget to council. The Redevelopment Commission budget will be presented at a public meeting to council. So once you approve this 2025 budget, there will also be a presentation to city council as well. Again, just to share the information. That was a lot. May I answer any questions?
Commissioner.
That's why I'm providing you a printout. I'll give you a binder and you can read it over coffee in the mornings.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Ms. Shop,
You're
very
welcome.
much. Mr. Harris, can we now move on to public comments
Yes,
on agenda items only?
correct. Yes.
For those who would like to make comments, please step up. Mindful that you have 2 minutes, please.
Can I start over again? Yes. My name is Tony Glenn, and I'd like to welcome the commissioners and Happy New Year. And first and foremost, I want to give the new commissioner congratulations on joining the board. And also, before I be clarity, I am to congratulate you as the new president.
Thank you, sir.
Correct. I'm in good. So, as you know, I've been coming to well over 100 meetings, well over the last previous administrations, in terms of meeting here and speaking my opinion that sometimes come forward. Today, I'd like to speak on a couple things, and one being the resolution for 7527 and 7528. And I'm kind of complexed in my mind that why would the commissioners need a finance committee and why would they need an executive committee? When in fact, the commissioners have the ability to do all that if they would just look at this redevelopment commissioner's manual. Now, how I got this, I bought it at a yard sale, okay, last year. And I've been able to compile and read every single item in this book. I know it by heart, not just in my brain, but in my heart. So my question is, why would you need something like that when you got these commissioners who are supposed to be led by the vice president, joined by the executive director? So I'm confused today why this presentation has taken place with Ms. Sharp, and I don't see the correlation with executive director Chris Harris. Okay. Secondly, can I ask for, it used to be 3 minutes. You guys just cut this today. Can I, one more? Okay, thank you so much. So the last minute is going to be built around, I have been in and seen a lot of things that have happened, and I think that hiring Ms. Sharp is a wrong mistake. And I can tell you why. She's already a contractor with the city. This is a resemblance of the same thing that took place with Wendy Vachette, who was making $120,000 a year, $160,000 in a consulting contract. And it seems that this commissioner should really look at this situation and evaluate what you're getting opposed to already what you got.
Thank you, sir.
And that's what we need to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Are there any others? Hey, Carrie, how are you?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and congratulations to the new members, the elected new president, vice president, secretary. And can you hear me? Sorry. My name is Doreen Carey. I'm a resident of the 1st District. And I very much would appreciate if you would maintain the opportunity for the public to speak during the public comment period. Something that would improve our ability to speak to the issues would be that the agenda was published 48 hours in advance so that we could see it online, or however you choose to publicize it, and it works better if we don't have to come down here and look at it pasted on the door, that we could see what was on the agenda in advance, so that then if we want to speak clearly on any of the resolutions, we could ask to see the full resolution rather than the summary. And that way we wouldn't be speaking in the wrong direction or along the wrong pathway. So I would appreciate those two things, the remaining of public comment and publishing the agenda 48 hours in advance and posting it online, even if you have to change it later. Because like even today, you've added 2 resolutions apparently that are not on the agenda, that came down after the agenda was printed. So that's understandable, but we didn't see the full agenda until we got here today. So those are my requests, and I do actually appreciate the fact that your new contractor, Ms. Sharp, has given a presentation that is available to the public as well as to the board. And that way we have a better understanding as well of the responsibilities of the Redevelopment Commission. Thank you very much.
good evening, Redevelopment, and Happy New Year. And I would like to ditto the two previous speakers. Is it on? Can you hear me? Oh, I'm sorry, Janie Marcinkowski. I am a resident of Gary. And I guess I just have to say I'm having a deja vu in terms of nothing against missing money and hiring consultants. And it has got to stop. It has got to stop. It has just been going on, and I feel like we're continually spinning circles and reinventing a wheel that doesn't need to be reinvented. So, empower yourselves and do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next agenda item will be number 7, 2025 RDC budget. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. So first off, I want to be able to have all the commissioners understand that although that we have the 2025 RDC budget before you, understand that this is a draft with the intention of a review for an approval for our next meeting, which is in February, the third week of February. Forgive me for not recalling the date exactly, but the third Wednesday of February will be our next Redevelopment Commission meeting. Want to be able to provide an opportunity for the commission to be able to understand where we are when it comes to our bond commitments and when it comes to the mayor's vision for how we desire to spend and reinvest in the downtown core and in Midtown. So what you'll see before you, you'll see each of the fund numbers itemized along with the debt payment associated with each TIF. And then you'll see the due dates for which we have bond payments. What we're asking the commission to do, because we've laid a lot on you on the first meeting of the year, is that we want you to be able to spend time in absorbing what our vision is for moving forward in 2025. There are some bond commitments, as you could see, that are due now and around February 1st and February 15th. The intent is that we want to be able to have the commission be able to review the budget, give any comments and feedback. When we have our redevelopment commission meeting on the third week of February, we would retroactively approve the budget with any modifications with the commission. But we work with our treasurer to identify that we could still make our bond payments with that in mind, that we'd like to have that budget reviewed and approved by the commission with allowing us the ability to be able to make our bond payments still now, but we're going to have that budget approval the third week of February. So we can still retroactively do that in effort to handle our bond payments, but we didn't want to, based on everything that we have before you when it comes especially to the downtown area, how we desire to invest in the core based on the mayor's vision. If you have questions, I know that this is the first time you're seeing it, but I just wanted to make sure that you have the opportunity to absorb it and ask any questions. Also understand that it's the intent. I know we have a resolution that's before us for the Finance Committee meeting, as well as the Executive Governance Committee appointments. So I guess some more detail during the resolution, but I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself. But the intent is that for the Finance Committee meeting, that we would be able to meet once a month to be able to go over claims, obligations, any financial matters regarding the RDC. The commissioners would elect to be appointed on the committee. So this won't be external with any other individuals outside of the Redevelopment Commission. The committees will be subcommittees to the Redevelopment Commission. So I just want to make sure that that's clear to the public and to the commissioners. But it's the intent that we're able to go through this in more detail, the budget, our claims, which we'll get into for calendar year 2024 later on in the meeting. We'll be able to discuss that in more detail with the Finance Committee meeting based on the appointments and who desires to be on that Finance Committee meeting. Executive Governance Committee, I might as well get into that, and I know we're going to have a resolution about it. The Executive Governance Committee is really the president and vice president in committing time that we can have a weekly discussion about any matters, any active business. I know things are sometimes things are a little fluid when it comes to our agenda and making sure that we perfect adherence to the mayor's vision. So we want to make sure that you're in sync as much as possible, the president and the vice president, so then that information can be disseminated to the balance of the commissioners. And then having separate to the executive governance committee, we wouldn't want the executive governance committee members to be finance committee members, right? So you want to be able to have all commissioners be able to play a role in pushing the redevelopment commission forward. But this is kind of a way to be able to restructure and reframe in a transparent way department inner workings and having transparency with the public as well. So again, we won't dive into specific details regarding the budget. We just wanted to be able to introduce our current debt and then a general spending plan of how we desire to reinvest in the downtown core. Now, understand that when I started my role last year, I'll say for the consolidated TIF, we have the ability to use professional services so long as that those professional services are related to that district. So in the past, our consolidated TIF generates the most increment. It covers between Fifth Avenue from approximately Malcolm X Drive to Madison Street down to 28th Avenue. Makes like a rectangle shape. We have the ability to invest in infrastructure, or we have the ability to invest in professional services. In the past, we've been heavily spending that money on professional services. And when it comes to the public, I mean, I've heard from the public that's shared, we have all of this increment, we have these TIFs, but what do we have to show for it, right? So the mayor has been very intentional about making sure that we execute moving forward. Even in 2024, I did that where I cut a significant portion of professional services. We spent about $420,000 on professional services for acquiring property in the Midtown core. We had 423 parcels that we acquired on the tax sale, the tax commissioner sale, to which we've used 2 attorneys, which the board approved, Inga Lewis Shannon and Kevin Smith, or Smith Sursik LLC. Moving forward, we're going to make more investments that are tangible and visible. We already started that last year when it comes to the illuminated signs along 4th Avenue to 8th Avenue and Broadway at the intersections. The mayor desires to do more. The mayor has mandated that we have more investment opportunities so people are beginning to see and feel that downtown is a vibrant, welcoming place to be. So we have an opportunity to invest in flower pots and banner infrastructure. As we execute Senate Bill 434 with our demolition efforts, we want to be able to make sure that downtown feels and looks a way that is welcoming. And that's something that hasn't been done in decades, right? So I want to be able to have the commissioners give feedback on the general budget of what we have, specifically for, the consolidated TIF. And if you have any feedback, definitely welcome it. But I just didn't want to overwhelm the commission with all of that, with just getting the budget before you today. Oh, go ahead. Question, President?
No, I don't have any questions. I was just wondering if any of the trustee commissioners have any questions before we proceed agenda. If not, we will move to agenda item number 8, which is resolution number 7527. A resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission creating the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission Finance Committee to oversee the commission's budget, finances, and claims. Finance Committee appointment. We will have appointment. Go ahead. Just a resolution.
Okay. All right, so resolution 7527, resolution for the City of Gary Redevelopment creating the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission Finance Committee to oversee the commission's budget, finances, and claims. The City of Gary Redevelopment Commission is responsible for managing a number of our public funds throughout our city, including accounts associated with TIF, an effort to oversee the commission's financial health and ensure that it has the net resources necessary to carry out its operations. The commission desires to create a committee to meet and discuss organization's financial matters. The committee will be responsible for providing the committee and will meet on an as-needed basis. The City of Gary Redevelopment Finance Committee shall be comprised of 2 members who do not serve on the Executive Governance Committee. And understand that that Executive Governance Committee would be composed of the President and Vice President.
Okay, you've heard it. What is the pleasure of the board?
There are a few questions.
Want to make a motion?
So can we get a motion to approve Resolution 7527? Anyone want to make that motion? Okay, just to be clear, that, doesn't mean the motion will pass, but we just need a motion and a second to get it on the floor for discussion.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Can we get a second? All right, motion and properly seconded. Are there any questions? I'm sorry, I should let you say that. But.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And ma'am, what's your name again? Because I was looking through.
Sharp.
Ms. Sharp, I want you to listen to have it. Come and have a seat. Bring your seat up here. Because this, these comments, I'm kind of frustrated, and I'm just going to be honest, because all I want is the best for this commission and for this city. Ms. Dunham, you haven't been here, but the other commissioners know since I got on the commission, I've been asking us to have a committee structure. I see right here that, and I don't know who approved this, Ms. Sharp, this goes into your presentation, which was a great presentation. I see that our commission meeting dates have been changed back to 1 meeting a month. I don't know who did that, but we had commission meetings set for 2 times a month. And because of the detailed information you talked about with the budget, in the past, this has been the mode of operandi that we would get information at the last minute and would be rushed to make a decision. I want to commend that at least we got another 15 to 20 days to look at the budget, but my concern is that, like, if we have meetings once a month, presentations like yours and other things that come, it keeps us here for a long time, and it convolutes the meeting. And I don't have a problem with a finance committee, but the finance committee cannot be as needed. It has to be a consistent meeting. It has to be at least once a month, because we didn't have that. And questions have been asked of this commission. And I'm glad you went through the bylaws went through the state law, because we know the state law, and I was talking with George about that. And it's the fact that up until now, outside of going and getting information on our own, we didn't have information on how much money was left in TIFs. We got an annual report at the end of the year. And one thing that I had recommended is that we need to have a finance committee. I'm on the city council, and I'm chairman of planning and development for the council. And when it comes to the structure of this, you can have 3 committee members on there, but all commission members will be there, and no final decision will be made at this committee. So I just want to make that clear, because when we have a budget and finance committee meeting, the Ways and Means with the council, you have 3 or 4 committee members, however many the president puts on there. But at the end of our meetings, there is never a decision made. It goes to the entire council. So with this being said, we can have 3 members, and I'm assuming it will probably be the 3. That's not the president and vice president. But I want to make it clear, all commission members should be at this meeting, and it should be a consistent meeting on a month-to-month basis, because the information that you brought about tax increment financing, making sure that money is being spent inside the TIF district, public-private partnerships, none of those things were brought to this commission the year I've been here. I can't speak for Mr. Glenn Johnson, who is the school board representative, or Mr. LaJuan Clemens, because I've only been here a year. But again, Mr. Harris has been, since the past administration, there's been a lot going on. So he's been getting his head wrapped around everything. So I could kind of understand some of the miscalculations. But going forward, there needs to be a definite structure. I don't agree with a governance board commission. It's not necessary. You have the president and the vice president, and they can have a meeting anytime with the executive branch that they need to, and then Mr. Stalin and Mr. Clemens can also, talk to us and let us know what's going on. But one committee that we need to have is a Gary Redevelopment Projects Committee. And what this committee does is when we meet with this committee, it gives us opportunity, Ms. Sharp, to see how many people are asking the executive director or asking the redevelopment commission if they want to buy properties, if they are looking to sell us properties, if they want to do redevelopment projects. It's a process that they go through to say, hey, I want this building, I want this location. We as a commission never know how many people are requesting to get properties, and the responsibility of the administration is to, if someone wants a property, our responsibility is to allow the executive branch to vet these people, these businesses, to see if they have the financial acumen, if they have a plan that will actually work. And this Gary Redevelopment Project Commission gives the public, outside of being rushed in a meeting, a committee structure where everyone that wants to do a project, everyone that wants to buy, everyone that wants to do something, they can come to a commission meeting and they can be able to give their presentations where every commissioner will be able to hear what they have to offer. And then, Mr. Stalin, at a later meeting, we could vote, because at the time, we would have actually saw the presentation. We would have had that opportunity for them to do a PowerPoint if they need, to look at each parcel of land to see what's going to be great. I'll give you an example. There was an instance when we had Mr. Terrell Bonds came before our redevelopment commission, and he was talking about, and they wanted to produce some housing for veterans. Well, what ended up happening is that, we got the information the day that they wanted us to vote. So Mr. Bonds was asked to come and do a presentation, and he was not aware of what he told me, that he would have did a presentation a long time ago. So our goal as a commission is that we could get things early, but also set up other committee structures that when people want to get information, when they want to do presentations, they can come, and us as commission members, we're not rushed. Oh, it's almost 5:30. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like, your presentation was excellent, but it would have been an even better presentation if we could have dedicated time for you to come to a committee meeting where you could take all the time that you needed to explain everything, because I think the presentation is excellent. It gives information on what we need to do. And outside of us studying ourselves and understanding that, I think the public that wants to buy land from us, there are a lot of people here today that have inquired about land, a lot of people that call us. And what we do is we follow procedure. We tell them to contact the office, and the office can work with them and ensure. And then we want to make sure that when people call, that they get followed up with, that people can get an answer to something that they're doing. And then after that, we want to be able to hear and have our residents that want to invest in our community, or potential businesses or contractors, to come before us and say, hey, this is our presentation. This is what we want to do, and we want to extend this for the city of Gary. And that's why, Mr. President, I'm also agreeing that the governance board can be replaced with a Gary Redevelopment Projects Committee, where the committee members were actually not at the time of a meeting. We can relax and actually see full-fledged presentations of what potential contractors that Ms. Sharp will be able to bring to the table, and the different developers that are going to come to possibly invest in Gary, where we don't have to hurry up and leave and do things. We can sit here and actually see full-fledged presentations. But I think that finance committee and that projects committee should be done on a monthly basis. If we are going to cut our meetings, because we haven't approved this, if we're going to cut our meetings to once a month, then these committee structures need to be put in place so that before we get to that meeting once a month, we have actually had these different committee meetings, so we kind of actually know everything that's going on when we come to that once a month meeting, and we can go ahead and do it. Because I do not want Ms. Dunham, our president of the teachers union, I work with her, was on the school board. She don't play games. She wants her information. She is union, and I'm the same thing. I'm UAW. I'm union too, and we want to be able to make educated. We want to have all the information before we make that decision. And again, the staff was kind of first year, it's the first year of the administration, kind of moving and shaking, trying to get their feet wet on different things. So this is a new year.
Then we're
The word of God says we leave those things behind, right, Ken, and we march forward
to the new.
Exactly.
Which leads you right into my question.
Yep. So, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
The finance committee that we have a resolution on, can the agenda include projects? Are we gonna have so many projects that we would need a separate meeting? I'm just asking what the agenda would be.
Because we can combine everything in that finance committee.
In that finance committee, because I don't know unless the agenda comes out before us that says we're gonna have a lot on the finance because I think that the finance meeting should just be a standard meeting. Let's go over the claims, let's go over this, let's go over this, and then leave us some room for those projects.
Right.
And then that way it would, I'm conscious of every commissioner's time. So I don't mind coming back doing it, but if we can do something when we all here together already, being the finance and the projects, and then your office can have the time to know at this meeting and the finance meeting, we got to discuss these projects, and these projects.
And you have to plan accordingly, because the reason why we looked at the 2 minutes a month is depending on when something will fall. You don't want something to fall and have to wait a whole
month.
Another
right,
month.
Right. So yeah, we staggered it where we had it. We had 2 meetings a month for that very reason. That if we needed something that was critical, we could allow the commission to review that first week and then make a decision the following. Now with the finance committee meeting or the executive governance committee, so here I think that they should definitely be separate. The finance committee should not get involved with the projects because it's just gonna be a lot. You know. Now here, when it comes to the executive governance committee, I mean, the intent was to be able to keep the president and vice president a standard formalized meeting to share about project updates and to share about share information about any new agenda items so that they can share that information with the balance of the commission.
And and my problem with that is you're leaving a great responsibility on the president and the vice president to update the rest of the members on major projects. And that's not good to do, because if you have to have Ms. Sharp or somebody else come in, because it could get lost in translation, and projects should be something, as Ken said, can be covered in finance, but if not, we probably need to look at another committee structure where we can have those meetings and those projects. And when it comes to the redevelopment project committee, those probably could be to a certain extent as needed, as you know that you have developers coming in, you have people that are asking to buy a property. So if it's a month and say, hey, we need to schedule a project and development committee because we have 8 people that want to buy lots, or we have this corporation or these people that come in. So redevelopment project committee could be more on an as-needed basis when you all have vetted everybody and had an opportunity for people to come before us, and then you can structure. But the finance piece should be consistent, but that project development, redevelopment project committee could be at an as-needed basis.
So I got a question.
Sure.
A lot of what they say, Kamala, word salad.
Word salad.
A lot of stuff thrown together. So just my question is, the purpose is, so now we have the board, but the purpose is to have separate meetings with different individuals to whatever it is you need to attack with them. But at the end of the day, you come back with us, with everybody together. So it seemed like it maybe was done backwards, because 75-28, if you want the president and the vice president to do those, then you flipped them to 75, the other one for that, because theirs should have been first. To me, the governance and then the finances, because you're talking about governing, and then we would have knew the finances left for everybody else. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But so I'm a vice president of National AFT. We have 43 vice presidents. There's an executive council with 8 members. So our president deals with them, like if it's confusion with the committee, she'll take those 8 out and work something out and bring it back to the big committee. So is that kind of what you're looking for?
So I want to clarify too. So because we had the opportunity to elect the officers, now we understand who's the president, vice president, and the secretary. So then now, still with the order of business, ultimately, we'd like to have 3 members be on the finance committee. In the finance committee, and then we understand that the executive governance committee was going to be structured with just the president and vice president. So then we already understand in general you know,
So
how that links.
my question is, the purpose is to do business with them that you need to do in a small group. I mean, is that what what's the purpose?
Yeah, so
Because it's a small group already.
So the purpose is that for the finance committee meeting, we had discussions in the past about transparency when it comes to balances, understanding claims, understanding like where we are here. We've had some internal staff changes. So the intent is that we want to be able to keep the commission more informed and be more transparent about outstanding claims, where we are with balances, because before we had a lot of internal turnover and attrition. So then now this is a mechanism to be able to get the commission more engaged.
And Ms. Dunham, it's also another level of accountability. That was some of the questions we had as commissioners. Since I've been on the board about things being accountable, not getting things on time, not, waiting to the last minute. So we understand some of the personnel issues and challenges they have. Now, I think this provides us with another level of accountability with the president.
For the commission.
For the commission. So we didn't have that level of accountability.
Because it says meet with executive director, select staff members. So you would meet with them before you meet with all of us, and you would have as our commission board brothers and sisters, you would make sure that we
do our
get,
due diligence to make sure that the other commissioners know what went on in the meeting. Now, Mr. Washington, I'll do that. I'll get you the information.
So let me be clear on that, because I want Ms. Dunham to be clear. So Mr. Harris was recommending future projects to be discussed with the president and vice president, and they can shift that to us. I disagree with that. I think they can meet with the president and vice president as needed without a committee. They can meet with Mr. Stalton and Mr. Clemens and kind of keep them updated whenever their schedules permit, to say, hey, this is some of the things that's going on with the commission and the things that are very important. They can share with the rest of us. If it's staff turnover, whatever, they can talk to us. What I'm talking about with the Redevelopment Projects Committee, there are contractors, residents, business people that they want to invest in the city and they want to be able to buy property. And so one of the goals for Mrs. Sharp is to be able to help vet those people to look at other potential developers that may not be in the area or in the area. And then we want her to be able to work with the Redevelopment Commission to bring those people here. So say if it's 6 different contractors that say they have 6 different areas of the city that they want to buy, instead of them coming to us at an actual board meeting where we will be here all night, we can have a separate meeting where those 6 developers or those 4 people can come and do full-fledged presentations. And then what will end up happening is that we wouldn't take a vote. Even the president and vice president can conduct further information and assessment with Ms. Sharp and Mr. Harris. But ultimately, we would have to vote if we want those developers to develop in our community. It's just in the past, since I've been on this commission, we haven't had any potential developers or people that wanted to buy property have an opportunity to come before this commission. And we don't have a problem with people coming before the commission, but there are a lot of people that want to buy property, they want to do projects, but they don't have the capital to do it, and we don't want to waste people's time. And that's the responsibility of Ms. Sharp and the executive director, to vet out those people that can actually do the projects that they said that they're going to do. But for us to be able to hear a full-fledged presentation as commission members, I think when we actually have a meeting, it gives us a sense of awareness and a bit of, to be a little bit more secure that we actually got a chance to question people and talk to people before we actually make a vote.
So would you want 7528 to be a governance committee and a project development committee?
Yes, the redevelopment, the Gary Redevelopment Projects Committee.
Say it again.
The Gary Redevelopment Projects Committee. I think
It would entail the governance, what he's saying, what Mr. Harris is saying, Resolution 7528, he wants it to be called governance. You want to add governance with projects, so make that one resolution and then talk about your finances.
Yeah. So here we could remove governance, but have projects, and have if we want to have an executive projects committee, then we can do that. I mean, here, I'm thinking out loud here, because we have a structure. We have for the executive governance committee, the president and vice president. If we want it to be an opportunity where the commission is able to review projects or people who are requesting property that we do have a backlog on letters of interest. If we want to develop a mechanism where we could start reviewing it as a commission and have an executive projects committee, if that's the commission's desire. I think we've talked about this several times, so it seems like if that's the commission's desire, we could move forward with that. We just got to figure out the actual structure.
What we're talking about. Darren keeps saying that, and so I'm saying if that hasn't been done in the past, if that's the will of the body, but you could just add it to the resolution, and the resolution can be both, or is that not possible?
Well, just right now, it would require further than a simple name change amendment based on what we have so far. I would maybe recommend we consider that at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could table that, but we need to.
Projects.
Yeah, but we need to move on the finance committee and move on that on a consistent basis. But that projects committee, we can't wait on this because, in fairness to your consultant and for people that want to buy property and do projects, we haven't had anybody come before us for a whole year and say they want to do this. This is what happens, and you all know what happens. We get emails from people that have contacted the office, and they're telling us that they're not getting return calls. Nobody is saying anything. Can we come before the commission? And we made it absolutely clear that we don't get involved in that. It's a process. But having this committee set up, it gives an opportunity for the staff to immediately vet those individuals and then allow them, if the administration believes that this is a doable project, and then they can come here and do a presentation. Then as constituents and Gary residents, one of our responsibilities too, and Ken knows this too, there will be times that the president and vice president can discuss with the consultant and with the chair projects that we really believe that should have an opportunity, and you all can discuss that. Because again, I'm gonna be honest with you, as a councilman and as a commission member, when people call me and they're not being heard, I'm going to respond to that. Now, first, I'm going to tell them that they need to go by the chain of command, but after that, then that's something I can bring over to our president and vice president, and I can have further discussion.
Okay. So we can move on resolution number 7527. We can take a roll call.
Yeah, but with an amendment change that from as needed to once a month.
The financial.
For the finance, because the resolution.
I thought that.
says,
okay, got it.
The resolution says as needed. I'm stating at least once a month, and that probably can be added as the second meeting. Right. Far as yeah.
All right, roll call.
So as a matter of formality,
That's what we
we
was
already
talking
had a motion, so I would,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I want to make sure happens.
Amend the motion.
I make a motion to amend the previous motion to add, to remove as needed for the finance committee and exchange that language with at least once a month for the finance committee.
I have some discussion about that because I'm just saying when I took the position, it was once a month. And so I would rather, if it looks like I'll be on the finance committee because that's the way it's structured, I would have to say as needed because I would have to work that into my schedule. So I'm just saying, I didn't know you all met twice a month, so I just have to be straight out, because I'm, busy. And so I can say as needed because you might not need it once a month. Absolutely. And I can work it in my schedule and be on that committee because that's the way the committee is set up, the other three folks. So I'm just telling the truth.
But because
so that's my so I mean
No,
so I mean I can vote the amendment down or however you can tell us the parliamentary procedure. I'm just
No, we
adding.
just vote on
I
this.
just want to make
We're
sure
just-
because we got a motion to amend. I want a second to that amendment, if you don't mind. Someone has to. Second. All right.
Okay.
Roll call. Sorry. First of all, I guess discussion on the amendment if you would like, and then roll call.
Any discussion on the amendment?
And you already counted.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Rogie?
No.
Commissioner Clemens? Yes. Commissioner Stalling?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham?
No.
The motion is 3 yeas and 2 nays.
It passes.
Passes.
All right, moving on to resolution number 75.
Yeah,
That was the
so-
amendment. We voted
yeah,
on
we-
the
we-
amendment.
So now that we've passed the resolution 7527, we want to make sure that we identify the appointees to the finance committee.
It would have to be Mr. Rogie, Ms. Dunham, and myself.
It could.
President and vice president is scan.
So got it. Okay. Okay.
I thought we
We voted on the amendment, now we're voting on the actual resolution with the amendment.
Okay. I mean, we could have worded it in a different way to get it all at once, but nevertheless, we can go ahead and do the actual vote now. On resolution 7527 as amended. Someone please make a motion to approve resolution 7527 as amended.
Chair would take a motion for resolution number 7527 based on the change.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Resolution.
The appointments, please. I guess I have to formally make a motion for the appointments, and if we're still sticking to everyone, outside of the president and vice president, then that only leaves, we need a motion to appoint 3 members to the finance committee.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens?
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
yes.
And Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay. Resolution number 7528, resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission creating the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission Executive Committee to facilitate better communication between the commission and the staff.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, President Stalling. So again, as we discussed before, Resolution 7528 is a resolution to establish the Gary Redevelopment Commission Executive Governance Committee with the intent of appointing the president and vice president. Understanding that we have the ability to have discussions between the president and vice president, however so we please, we want to make sure we formalize the process. So that's really what the resolution is for, is to establish a meeting date weekly to be able to talk about happenings of the department, resolutions, project opportunities as we work out what that looks like for the project development committee. This just formalizes our meeting cadence so that outside of right before the meeting, you understand what are pieces that are in motion that could land on the agenda for the subsequent redevelopment commission meeting.
What is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 7527, 28.
Second. Been moved and properly second. Any questions or comments, commissioners?
I just want to make it clear that this committee is not going to be discussing major projects, and you're going to put the onus on the president and the vice president to explain that to the rest of the commission and the public. There needs to be something set aside strictly that the commission members and all public that attend meetings will be able to see future projects for this commission. Are we clear?
So I want to make sure that when it comes to this Project Development Committee, there are opportunities when it comes to projects that the staff will work on that is confidential, right? So when it comes to what staff can share, understand that we have to get to a point in doing our due diligence as staff to be able to present that to the commission. So that can still be discussed in the executive project committee, but understand that that's disseminated based on state statute of being able to not harm a deal that is actively in progress. But when we are ready to be able to share that information with the commission, then we're able to do so.
Let me add this too, Mr. Harris. Based on state statute, though, I understand where you're going, but talking about certain projects, and that's the great thing about redevelopment, certain projects can also be discussed in executive session, where all commission members will be able to be there regarding buying, leasing, any type of projects. So we want to make sure that we don't overburden our president and vice president with getting back information. Now, there may be some things that are not covered under the executive session that you may need to share with them, then they can relate that to us. But always remember, there are certain things, that's what I love about the Redevelopment Commission, there are certain things that you can talk about in the executive session where all of us can be involved.
Thanks for explaining that. I was concerned about this, excuse me, concerned about the same thing, is that there's a work process, inside the department. Because we may have a development project that maybe 6 developers want to bid on, and you can't just, you'll end up giving each other's situation to a point where it won't be a fair bidding situation, and then nobody wants to do it. So I think this is set up so you don't have that problem.
All right. Any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Stalling?
Yes.
Commissioner Washington?
No.
Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Motion passes with 3 yeses.
Number 10. Oh,
Be a little redundant, but we had it in the right after the 7528, the appointment of the members we know is going to be the president and vice president. But because it's on our agenda, can we just get a formal motion to appoint Commissioner Clemens and Commissioner Stalling as on the executive committee that we just formed? We can get a motion to that effect.
I move.
All right, thanks. Roll call.
Commissioner Rogie?
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens? Commissioner Stalling?
yes.
Commissioner Washington?
Yes.
And Commissioner Dunham?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Yes.
Yes, so that's something that we could discuss internally and have that discussion on the agenda.
Well, let me make it clear. You can discuss it, but the commission has the authority to create that committee if we want to create that committee. Like these committees, I think they're good, and I don't know if you spoke to President Rogie about that, but when it comes to the commission has authority to create any committee within itself that it wants to. So I think what we're asking you to do is to put that resolution together for the Gary Redevelopment Projects Committee, bring it before us so we can discuss it, and then hopefully approve it or not approve it at the next meeting. Because we already articulated the need for it, so that's what we're asking you to do.
And if you take that information back to you and your staff.
Yeah.
You all have heard our concerns.
Yeah.
And then when you come back to us with something that's addressing our concerns. And I think that would move it quicker.
Got it.
With a resolution and a number.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We're going to move on to resolution number 7529. If that's okay, Attorney Jenkins, can we move forward? Okay, yes. It's a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing and awarding real property from the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission to private homeowners for the City of Gary Side Lot Program. Mr. Harris?
Okay. All right. Thank you, President Stalling. So I want I'm going to talk about the My Gary, My Lot program. So thank you for members of the public who are here for your side lot, for being patient with us as we get through business. So this is a program that we have for homeowners within the city of Gary that are adjacent to city-owned lots that are technically unbuildable based on our current building code when it comes to development of single-family residential development. So with the My Gary, My Lot program, we ask that members of the public who are petitioned, that qualify, that are homeowners of property that have been taking care of and maintaining side lots for at least a year, that they're able to come before the commission, express their address, express what their general history is of maintaining the lot. We ask that you limit your comment to 2 minutes, but we just like to share with the public that opportunity, and then also understanding that we do have quite a bit of vacant lots throughout the city, and that there are residents that desire to fence in those properties, develop garages, develop an expansion of their homestead. So I will ask actually my executive director, I'm sorry, my executive assistant, do you have a list of addresses of the side lots so I can prepare to read them out? So again, 7529, the My Gary, My Lot adjacent property program is a resolution for the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission authorizing and awarding real property from the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission to private homeowners for the adjacent property program. The lots that we have before us today are 356 Madison Street, 2104 Adams Street, 2374 Taney Place, 2370 Taney Place, and 451 Matthews Street. So what we'd like to ask is that for the petitioners who are requesting said properties, that I'll start with 356 Madison Street. If that petitioner is here to give just a brief overview, stating your address, your history with the property, your residence here in Gary, just so the commission and the public can understand who you are, and then we're able to move forward property by property, and then we're able to then ask the commission to ask any questions to any of the petitioners, and then we'll be able to move forward for a vote. So is the petitioner for 356 Madison Street available?
Ms. Tanya Noel?
Okay. Got it. Okay. What about the petitioner for 2104 Adams Street? Okay. Petitioner for 2374 Taney Place? Yes. Okay, all right. If you want to come up. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. If you want to state your name,
All right.
your address.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dean Monroe. I am the grandson of Dean Monroe Sr. and Hestina Monroe. Hestina Monroe, she is my grandmother. She's been in the school system for many years, my whole life. I grew up here in the city of Gary, watching them, take in foster children, and just pretty much just give back to the city of Gary. I'm here to get the lot to be able to help them keep it up, because the lot is actually filled with debris and trees and all kind of stuff that's obstructing the street. So we were looking to obtain the lot to keep it maintained, and so that it doesn't have any hazardous. Keep things from being hazardous.
Yeah. Any questions for the petitioner?
What's the address again?
2374.
Yeah, this is 2374 Taney Place. And then I also see 2370 Taney Place. Is that you as well? Okay.
All those lots together?
Yes.
Okay, starting from 23.
Okay, got it. This is really small. Yep. Okay, got it. Yeah, makes sense. Yep. Okay, is the petitioner here for 451 Matthews Street? So I will leave it up to the commission. I know that this is something that we established in the summer last year, that we prefer to have the petitioners be present at the meeting in effort to move forward with an award. Although it's not necessarily technically required by state statute, we want to honor the commission's desire that if individuals were here, I know we went a little bit long today, if we want to be able to, have them come to the next commission meeting, or if we felt comfortable enough to be able to move forward with awards for those petitioners that are no longer here.
I do also just want to recommend we be consistent, because we have awarded two people in the past who did not make a presentation. So let's try to be consistent in how we award, and whether we require the people to be here before we dispose of the property. So whatever you decide, let's try to be consistent throughout the year.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Just go ahead. Let's make. The chair will entertain a motion. I guess we have a motion, so we can roll call. If there are no more questions or comments, roll call. Just it.
Motions to approve all, everyone on that list.
It's been moving properly second. Any questions or comments? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Rogie,
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunham,
Yes.
motion passes.
You might just want to say for the record that,
For the record, Commissioner Washington did step out of the meeting.
but we have enough to pass it.
Motion passes with 4 yeses.
Okay.
Resolution number 7530, a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission approving and authorizing the award of a contract with EGIS BLN USA to support with the city's blight elimination plan in Etna. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, President Stalling. Resolution 7530 is a resolution before the Redevelopment Commission, City of Gary, to enter into a contract with the below-listed contractor, which is Aegis BLN USA. This contractor will be paid out of both city funds and redevelopment funds under the attached contract Exhibit A. The Redevelopment Commission will be responsible for paying the amount not to exceed $27,298.05, while the city will be responsible for the remainder of the balance due under the contract. And the contract will have an effective date of January 1st, 2025, and shall last until the work under the project is completed, but no longer than December 1st, 2025. Also, to be able to provide better context, we're preparing for the second round of our Etna demolition effort in the Etna neighborhood. There are also a handful of sites in Miller that we're asking Aegis BLN USA to offer a hazardous material report so that we can have an abatement contractor address the hazardous materials found in the property before we begin demolition. Understand that this is an effort organized by Reith Riley for part 2 of the Etna demolition process for free labor, but we're responsible for all environmental aspects for environmental review as far in environmental abatement. So this contract is to utilize our unsafe building fund to be able to have that review conducted for the services addressed for the Etna demolition phase as we stabilize that neighborhood. President, I just want to be able to provide that context for the commission.
Chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of resolution number 7531. 7530, I'm sorry, moving a little fast.
I make that motion.
Second.
It's been moving properly second. Are there any questions or comments related to this resolution? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Rogie,
Yes.
Commissioner Clemens,
Yes.
Commissioner Stalling,
Yes.
Commissioner Washington,
Yes.
and Commissioner Dunham.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Contract resolution number 7531, a resolution of the City of Gary Redevelopment Commission approving and authorizing the award of a contract with Innovative Planning, LLC.
All right. Thank you, President Stalling. So Resolution 7531 is a opportunity to enter into a contract with Innovative Planning LLC. This is supportive efforts with streamlining planning, zoning, and redevelopment, and providing redevelopment support and bandwidth for the department. The contractor will be providing services again to planning and zoning, with a portion of contract to be paid by the City of Gary's account, and the redevelopment portion to be paid out of the redevelopment budget. Under the attached contract, see Exhibit A, the Redevelopment Commission will be responsible for paying an amount not to exceed $94,980 during the calendar year of 2025, which shall be paid at a flat rate of $7,915 per month. The contract will have an effective date of January 1st, 2025, and shall last until December 31st, 2025. Understand that this is, again, providing streamlining efforts between our departments, planning, zoning, and redevelopment, and providing more bandwidth and capacity for the development opportunities that we have here in the city. Understanding that this is the mayor's pleasure, and also the much needed support, considering the staff changes that we've had last year. This is an effort to help streamline those development efforts. President.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Oh, just keep in mind, we just need a motion and a second to get it on the floor. That does not reflect what the votes will actually entail, but if you can just get a motion to get us out here, get us started. And we get a second to that.
Second.
Been moving properly second. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners?
One question. Do we have the money to afford this contract?
Yes, we do.
Now you saying that, and I'm asking you publicly because we got tips and we got other bills. I'm hearing that contractors need to be paid, and
so here I want to.
Okay, because that's why we're doing this finance committee, because I'm hearing stuff.
So
allegedly,
here,
I'm not
so
saying
here,
it's true.
I want to hear.
Okay.
So let me clarify this. Let me clarify this.
Yes,
so here, I had high turnover and attrition last year in calendar year 2024 for individuals who were responsible for requisitions, purchase orders, maintaining and managing invoices. It's not that we don't have the resources or the funds, it's that we didn't have the manpower to be able to get that work done. We had a gap. Understand that we had attrition in January from our previous deputy, and I didn't have a deputy director until July. I had a gap. We did have a financial consultant that we did get some services from, but there were items and invoices that fell through the cracks. Understand that when we had hired a new deputy in July, of course, there's a learning curve. There were some invoices that were able to get caught up, but still we weren't able to get caught up for the total calendar year 2024. Not from the fact that we didn't have the resources, but it's the fact that the execution of the day-to-day operations weren't happening.
People not doing their responsibilities and let invoice go without
That's
being paid.
That's correct.
So I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
So was this position advertised, or how did we come up about Ms. Sharp for this position? Just this question.
Sure. So this is a professional service. So the need, after receiving the need from planning and zoning with the Board of Works, seeing there was an opportunity to also add capacity for redevelopment. This was more so a direct professional services opportunity.
So with your explanation about the gaps and the questions Mr. Washington asked, was the money there? And with Ms. Sharp's resume, the community is saying no. So, but you're needing her and you have projects out there. So I'm just getting clarification. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Any other comments or questions? Mr. Rogan?
I do. Well, I normally would not before another contractor to do the job of what the staff is supposed to be doing. But in this case, Mr. Harris doesn't have a staff to do actual redevelopment and redevelopment. And you have these wonderful big projects that should be worked on, should be put together. And we need somebody that has redevelopment background to do that. And remember, redevelopment doesn't work in a silo. It has to work with planning and zoning, or the project, or the developer, or whatever. Doesn't go anywhere. And we sit here, Gary, not getting anything done. And, you know, I think this is the chance to get something done. Expensive, but give it a try.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I want to make it clear, we need to understand the contract. She is basically helping bring development to the city. If they don't get the human resources aspect straightened out with the commission, and there's going to continue to be problems, because I'm pretty sure Ms. Sharp is not going to be sending invoices and doing all of this. That's not her responsibility. And so we need to make sure that we have staff in place that can make sure that invoices are paid and everything is done accordingly. And that's the biggest problem that I see. And the other question is, how much is your contract with the city? Because this is not to exceed 94, it's public dollars. So what is the other amount of, what's the contract that she's currently receiving? How much is that contract?
In the packet somewhere.
It's in there.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Well,
Somebody-
somebody can find
It's in
me
the pack, yeah.
That's fine.
Under the entire thing, and the entire cost is $181,380, of which we have a costing half of it, and then the other half is paid by, I'm not even sure what.
The redevelopment.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So has the answer been has the question been answered as to what her amount is with the other? Have we satisfied, we got that information? Okay. So are we ready to make the motion? Okay, ready? Roll call?
Oh, somebody, I thought
That was to get on the floor. Oh, yeah, get on the floor, yeah.
That was for 7531, right?
Yes. There's a motion on the floor for
The
resolution.
motion was to approve, but then it's like, the vote doesn't have to reflect that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we understand that. So it's, you make, you said, we put a motion on the floor, discussing it, then we get a chance to vote
Vote on.
up or down.
Roll call. You got it?
So I believe it's some talent at the end of this table. Serious talent. I really do. And I think when we vote this, that means we shoot it down and it's gone forever. Right? If it's not voted, to pass, is it gone forever?
So I want to explain that the intent for the mayor is to have the opportunity for this, for capacity, for execution projects. So if you're saying that to voting it down, I mean, that's, again, understand that this is mayor and staff's desire to be able to have this move forward. Oh, here.
I understand the public's concern with the money and the cost of the contract. And I understand what you're saying about what the mayor wants and how we've been in a boxing match for the past year on just how the commission works. And I watched the presentation, and as I said, that she's knowledgeable of defending the commission. but I don't really know her. And I think that's my only issue. And it could be the other commissioners' issues. Plus, I don't know who negotiated the amounts that to be paid, you know? But we have talent right at the end of this table. And I don't think I would vote it down. I would abstain from it just because I kind of believe in where we're going. But this pathway that we've always taken is a resemblance of just what the public is saying. It just resembles the past. But I'll be hesitant just to kick this opportunity out the door without first more investigating the potential of her asset to this board.
So I have one more thing. So the two, consulting contract, are both of them consulting contracts, or would this second one be, are both of them consulting contracts? I know the first one is. You said you here now as a consultant. Now we're being asked to vote on the resolution for you to have a job. Two consultants then. Okay, and one is you work with, the other consultant is zoning and planning, which is heavy, and this one is commission, redevelopment. Okay, I'm clear.
I just wanted to clarify, it is one contract. There's just two funding sources. That's why it was kind of presented in this way. I just want to make that clear.
So it's one contract.
One contract.
Okay, so why the rest of them were presented to us? I'm assuming it was a different contract with the city, because it doesn't, this contract, this money comes out of redevelopment. It doesn't come from the city.
So there is only one contract, but it has two funding sources. That's why there's two different QC40 forms. That may not make sense without explaining too much here. So part of the money is going to come out of the city of Gary's funds, and the other part is going to come out of redevelopment's funds.
No, I understand.
Got it.